US versus Iran situation, this video is for you. Ever since the 1979 Islamic Revolution that happened in Iran, Iran takes a stand and says, you know what, the US and Israel are not my friends. In fact, they are my enemies. Okay, cool. Iran starts funding armed groups called proxies to fight on its behalf. These are groups such as Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis. Not sure if I'm pronouncing them correctly. Israel starts seeing Iran's nuclear program as a threat to them. The US imposes sanctions on Iran. October 7, 2023, Hamas attacks Israel. And remember, Hamas is funded by Iran. April 2024, Israel bombs Iranian consulate in Damascus, Syria. Long story short, Iran and Israel are basically launching attacks on each other. Then on the 22nd of June 2025, the US basically enters the fight by bombing 3 nuclear sites in Iran. On the 24th of June, a ceasefire is reached. And on the 28th of December 2025, massive protests break out across Iran. Why? This was triggered by the Iranian currency collapsing. Cost of living became unbearable for the citizens. The Iranian government basically decided to respond with brutal force to these protests. Over 6,000 people were killed. Then the government decides to shut down the internet for over 2 weeks in the beginning of 2026. As this is happening in the beginning of Jan, Trump then says to the Iranian citizens, guys, continue with your protests. Help is on the way. The 23rd of Jan, Trump then announces that a US armada is heading to the Middle East with 2 aircrafts. February 6, 2026, the US and Iran begin nuclear negotiations. Iran basically suggests that they would suspend uranium enrichment for several years. Even when they do resume it, they're going to resume it on lower levels. The US is like, no, I don't want that. I want you to permanently end uranium enrichment, place limits on your ballistic missile range, and I also want you to stop supporting Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis. Iran refuses. Now we're here.
Israel got us into this war. Its lobby in the United States pressured the president, and its prime minister in Israel told the president, we're going without you. Join us, because if you don't, your troops in the region, your interests in the region, your citizens in the region will all be at risk. You have no choice. They led the way. That's Joe Kent's position. And rather than push back against that and say, no, actually, he's wrong, they're telling you to shut up. And why are they doing that? Well, there's only one reason people ever become hysterical and slanderous, start screaming at you rather than answering you. It's because they're lying. And the truth is, this is not the first time you've watched people in charge lie. This has been going on a long time. And lies give way to a whole bunch of bad things. More lies. Once you tell a lie, you bolster it with further lying. Hysteria, the fear of being caught lying. The rage and slander. If the person catches me lying, he wins in the zero-sum game of lying. I die. You go in the attack to cover your lies. And bad judgment. You can't make wise decisions on the basis of lies because they're not true. They're not based in reality. That didn't actually happen. Or in this case, it did happen, but you're pretending it didn't. So a country based on lies, like a family based on lies, like an individual life based on lies, cannot succeed. In fact, it's hellish. As all of us have experienced in our lying. And so the only way out of this is to stop lying, is to tell the truth now, probably 63 years after we should have started telling the truth. But it's never too late to tell the truth now about everything. Because it's never as painful as you think it will be. It's actually an act of liberation.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, welcome. Please don't forget to watch my video, share my video, leave a like, leave a comment, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can be giving you this interesting episode back to back. The US citizens are frowning and saying, President Trump, what is going on? What is with you? Why are you buying a war that it isn't ours? This war is not our business from the beginning? Why are you allowing the Israeli to drag you into a battle, into a war that wasn't meant for us from the beginning? Why are you allowing them to cajole you into something that isn't supposed to be our business? Why are you allowing them why are you allowing us pay tax money to fuel this war? Why are you sending our children to Iran, a war that is not meant to be ours? There are some videos that we are going to watch on people's thoughts on what they think about this war and how they think it's none of the US business getting involved in this war. Why some are going to explain to us the origin of this war. So please, let's stay tuned, watch the video, and at the end of the video, I'll come back and give my own 2 cents. And credit goes to the original owners of this video. So please, let's stay tuned and watch.
Why did the US and Israel attack Iran? If you're listening to the media, they give you 5 reasons, which are lies really, for justifying this war, when really there is only one real reason why they attacked Iran. Now, the 5 justifications for the war is, number 1, we're attacking Iran because we want to bring freedom to Iran. The truth is that of the 66 covert regime change operations that the US has carried out that we know of, 44 were in support of authoritarian regimes. And in some cases, they actually removed a democratically elected government to install a dictatorship, as they have done in Iran, removing the prime minister in 1953 and installing the Shah, who was a dictator. So the fact that they did this for freedom is a clear lie. The US has supported many dictatorships, including Saddam Hussein in Iraq and Augusto Pinochet in Chile, and of course the Shah himself in Iran. Number 2 is that Iran supports proxy groups in Lebanon, in Palestine, in Yemen, as if the US doesn't support any proxy groups. The US has supported proper terror groups that have killed thousands and thousands of civilians, such as Al-Qaeda, when they supported them in their fight against the Russians, and then supported ISIS in their fight against Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and they are supporting the current president of Syria, who was an in brackets, ex-ISIS member. If your justification for this war is that Iran supports proxy groups around its region, then basically any country can attack the US, because the US has supported proxy groups all across the world. Whatever Iran has done, the US has done 100 times over. The third justification is that in 1983, nearly 250 US military personnel lost their lives in Beirut in an attack in the barracks. Now, the media says that it was carried out by Iran. It's something that cannot be directly attributed to activities done by Iran. And even if it was supported by Iran at that time, we're talking about 1983. If we can justify any war with an action that was taken 30 years ago, then every war is going to be justified. In fact, wars against the US can be justified by US actions that were carried out 40 years ago, 30 years ago. Hell, Vietnam can now attack the US and say, you attacked us, in the 60s. The fourth reason why they are attacking Iran, their justification is that Iran is building nuclear weapons, even though the US dropped the mother of all bombs last year to destroy their nuclear facilities. And the issue they have is that the US and the Western powers got into a nuclear deal in 2015, where Iran was able to carry out nuclear capabilities, but with limits. And Iran met all the conditions regarding the JCPOA agreement to limit its nuclear capabilities, with inspectors actually on the ground verifying everything, until Trump ripped that agreement in 2016. And then Iran decided not to adhere to these strict restrictions because they put extreme sanctions on them, and they removed from the agreement. So there was an actual solution to this that the US, that Trump himself ripped. And the last justification I hear is that Iran resulted in the deaths of many US Americans when they invaded Iraq. Not that the reason why they died was because they invaded Iraq. It's because Iran supported the Iraqis to push the Americans out. As if America wouldn't do the same. If China invaded Mexico, the Americans are going to support the Mexicans to fight the Chinese away. Every country does this. The reason why Americans died in Iraq was because they occupied another country. They invaded another country, not because Iran supported some resistant groups in those regions. Now, the real reason why America wants to destroy Iran is because Iran is a regional power. There are three regional powers in the Middle East. One is Iran, two is Israel, and three is Turkey. And Israel needs to make sure that Iran is not a regional power. And in fact, it has said after we're done with Iran, Turkey is the next Iran. Now, some people say that they want to destroy all Jews across the world. The reality is that they have thousands and thousands of Jews living in Iran. It's one of the oldest Jewish communities in the world, in Iran. So that kind of falls apart.
I want to make this so clear because I feel like a lot of people are confused about this. Iran is defending itself against Israel and the United States. This has been a long-term conflict between Israel and Iran, and we can still clearly see that Israel's actions are continuing to initiate the aggression between them. And now they've gotten the United States involved, which is their bread and fucking butter. Iran has been attacking their neighboring country's United States military bases. It is not an act of war. It is not them trying to take down their civilian areas. This is a clear attack against specifically their United States military troop bases. Because if the United States is going to come after Iran, which we have clearly watched our president online constantly berating Iran, talking about blowing them up and destroying their country beyond any possible chance to rebuild. Plus, the United States and Israel had already made multiple strikes on Iran, killing over 100 people and children. We know that, of course, the United States would first decide to deploy those troops in the neighboring countries around Iran, as well as use that weaponry housed there. So I think it's pretty explainable why they would go to take out those US military bases. And I want to make this clear, I am not sitting here defending the Islamic regime. I will not defend any sort of religious and aggressive regime. But I don't want it to be misunderstood that Iran is going after all these countries and blowing them up and trying to get them involved in the war. No, they are going after United States military bases specifically. And if you remember, the president of Iran did issue an apology about this, and then we had heard reports of further airstrikes going into those same countries, which were very likely false flag strikes from none other than Israel, because there's genuinely no strategic value to Iran continuing airstrikes on these countries. So I wanted to just really put that in perspective for you all. Iran is defending itself against Israel and the United States and their imperialism, and the Iranian people are defending themselves against the Islamic regime within Iran. And keep in mind, Senator Ted Cruz already confirmed that they don't believe Iran to have any nuclear weapons anymore. So this war is not over their nuclear power that's happening in 2 weeks. They strongly believe that they destroyed any and every effort of Iran's to advance towards nuclear power. So that's where we're at. And most of the entire rest of the world condemns the actions of the United States of and Israel. Of the United States and Israel.
But the Iranians don't want people to die. The difference between Iran and the United States and the Israeli regime is that when Iran retaliates, it says so beforehand. When they bombed Iran's critical gas infrastructure, all those poor workers who were there, they were facing a catastrophic situation. Missiles were striking the gas installation. Huge fires were erupting, and all these poor workers who received low wages and have kids waiting at home, they could have been burned alive. But Iran, when it retaliated, it said so beforehand. Some people in Iran criticized the armed forces. They said, why are you declaring where you're going to strike the next day? Because they could beef up their air defenses and perhaps shoot down missiles and drones. But the Iranians don't want people to die. And this is exactly what we did during the war with Saddam Hussein as well. When he was firing missiles at Iran, for years Iran did not.
I want somebody to help me understand this. Israel is refusing to commit to send ground troops into Iran, but they want the United States to do this. What? Israel and Bibi Netanyahu helped pull Donald Trump and the United States into this war. Israel is refusing to commit to put troops on the ground in Iran, but they want us to send our boys, our girls, our troops into Iran for them. No. Israel is busy doing their in Lebanon, we're on TikTok, I got to be careful, and doing the same things in Gaza. You know what they're doing. I can't say it because they're on TikTok. They don't want to put their troops on the ground in Iran. They want us to do it. And I say, hell no, Israel. It's just stink to you because it smells to high heaven to me. It's just wrong. Israel, if you think this war is a great thing, you put your troops on the ground in Iran, not the United States. Time to call your congressman, your senator, 202-224-3121, and tell them to stop this illegal war in Iran, and do not vote to fund $200 billion more for this war. Hell no. It's time for America first. That's what Donald Trump campaigned on. And all of y'all guys, I do not support Donald Trump in anything. So I'm tired when I get the burned out light bulbs that accuse me of that. That's just not correct. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my burned out light bulbs. Let me know what you think. No, I've never voted for Donald Trump, and I never would. I would go to Hades first. Thank you.
This war with Iran is not America's war. It is Israel's war that America is fighting on behalf of Israel using your tax dollars. You see, Iran is a threat to Israel's existence, and Israel will never stop until Iran is completely neutralized and they have full control over not just Iran, but of the entire region, mainly because Iran is one of the largest sovereign nations in the region. They have no U.S. military bases, there is no U.S. embassy, and there is no U.S. puppet running the country like there is in the region. And most importantly, Iran supports and funds all of the groups that are fighting Western imperialism in the region. And it is very important to know that the Palestinian resistance would have never made it this far without the support of Iran. And you shouldn't take my word for it. You should listen to Palestinian martyrs like Nazar Banat, and you should watch this video on YouTube. Netanyahu knows that there is a small window to take out Iran right now, which is why they have tried to convince and pressure the US to join them in this attack, mainly because in the last 2 to 3 years, Israel has killed the top leaders and officials and generals in the Palestinian and Lebanese resistance, and also some of the top leaders and generals in the Iranian military. Today, Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini was killed in an Israeli strike. So what does this mean? It means there is going to be an all-out regional war, which is why so many people have been ringing the alarm trying to prevent this very moment. But here we are. Iran is not going to go down without a fight, and neither are any of the groups they support and fund in the region that fights Western imperialism. Everyone is going to fight like their life depends on it, because this is the moment, okay? And so the US and Israel are not only going to attack Iran, but they're going to open up the prison gates to allow ISIS and Al-Qaeda fighters to take over the region and cause absolute havoc. And the US is going to use this to make the case as to why they not only need your tax dollars to fund this war, it's why they're going to need your children to fight this war. This regional war will take the lives of millions of people in the region, but it will also define the fate of the region for the next 50 to 100 years. And the US is securing Israel's position as the next new world leader. This is the transfer of power. This is the global new world order. And the craziest part is Americans are in denial about all of this, just as they are in denial about the Epstein files, but it is all connected. And right now it is happening. It is happening in real time, and you have to fight like hell.
So, from the videos you've watched, it looks like the US out of nowhere just came into the battle. So many people are saying that this battle, this fight was not for the US, that it was for Iran and Israel. But the Israel cajoled the US into the war. I watched one of President Donald Trump's video where he said it was more like they were the one that the US were just the ones that actually wanted to be in this war. Like, oh no, when forced, when coerced, we were the ones that wanted to be in this war. So that was how it sounded. And so many people are saying, guy, man, Man, these are taxpayers' money you guys are using to fight this war. This battle was not supposed to consign us. This battle was between the Israelis and the Iranians. So why are we now paying the ultimate price? Why are we sending missiles to Iran? Why are we, like, it's just like you buying a fight that is not meant to be yours. And now you're coming on the President Trump is coming on national TV to threaten the Iranians. The Americans are not happy. They are saying, these are our children. The military you are sending to Iran to fight, these are our children. Our children are dying in millions. Millions of taxpayers' money are going into this war. This war that is not supposed to be ours. This war that is not supposed to concern us. Like, it is not really our business. These people were fighting from the beginning, and we all of a sudden, we allowed the Israel to cajole us into it. And we all know that Israel and America, like, they are allies, they are friends. And we know that in Israel, there's an American embassy, but I don't think they have an embassy in Iran. I don't think so. And I could remember at the beginning of this war, I could remember how America came in, how America, the president said that I think they impeached their president and so many other things. There was a lot of rallies everywhere. There was a lot of talk. But today, as we speak, thousands and thousands of American soldiers are sent to Iran. We don't know if they are going to come back alive. We don't know what is going to happen. We don't know where this war is going. Some people are even scared around the world right now, not just in Iran or Israel. Right now, everyone around the world, they are scared and saying, please, we don't want this to turn into a third world war, because it is going to be brutal. It is going to affect every other person around the world, because, hey, we don't know about this. We were not involved, so don't involve us, because every day as the day goes, the war is becoming more serious. It is becoming worse. It is becoming more brutal than it was at the beginning. So people are begging, some Americans right now are pleading with the US government to stop, to leave them to their own battle. But others are saying, man, it's too late. You guys just came in, you didn't know what was happening from the beginning, and you just came in and bought a war that wasn't meant to be yours. And now you want to. And I'm not even sure President Trump wants to hands up from the war, because from his speech yesterday, he was threatening their political system. Yeah, he was saying it. Was saying he's going to destroy the Iranian political system. He was saying it. So I don't think Americans are ready to back down. They are not ready to back down. And the Israel too, they are not ready to back down. And I'm sure Israel will not rest until Iran has been neutralized. And that is it. Everybody around the world is just praying that this doesn't become a third world war, for us not to buy what we don't know. So, yeah, we have it for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. And please leave your comments in the comment section for us to, your own thoughts, so that we could learn and also, like, just learn. Keep your own thoughts. Let's keep it going. And thank you very much for watching my video, and I'm going to see you on my next episode, so please stay tuned.